Record.
Welcome to Thrive in Sales, the sales training and thriving podcast. Hi, I'm Neeraj. I'm an interactive sales trainer and one-to-one coach. I get results for small businesses and deliver successful training to large corporates like Barclays, NatWest, and Sainsbury's. I'm the best-selling author of 2 books.
And I'm Keith. I've sold technology services around the world for a long time. And I'm responsible for sales leading a contract worth well over $1 billion in software outsourcing. I'm a sales coach and I'm visiting lecturer in professional selling at Aston Business School.
Every week we will share proven strategies to help you generate more sales. Plus we'll bring well-being experts onto the show to give you the knowledge, strategies, and takeaways you need to succeed in sales. And this week's topic is creating more energy in sales. And our special guest is Jille Tringham. Now, Jille is an established and well-respected hypnotherapist with over 15 years in the fields of therapy and meditation. Jille has helped hundreds of clients successfully lose weight through hypnotherapy, motivation techniques, meditation, and a change of mindset. And she owns a clinic in Sutton Coldfield known as Meditate Place. Jille, welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Well, this week's topic is going to be about energy because quite a few of my clients, it's now week 12 in lockdown. And although a few restrictions have been lifted, a lot of people I'm speaking to are just struggling with energy. They're feeling lethargic, a little bit frustrated, of course, but energy is such an important part of not just sales, but business as well. So can you talk to us, for example, about, what are the challenges for individuals who are struggling with energy at the moment?
Yeah, sure. Well, but from the get-go, everybody needs to, in order to thrive, to be connected, they need to have connection, meaning, and purpose in life. And of course, as an employer, and certainly in a sales environment, what's really important is that culture that drives that energy. And so culture is really important. And if it's not created by the employer or the business owner, then the staff will create that culture for themselves. But what's really important is giving employees the feeling of autonomy, so they're in control of what they do. And there's a well-known fact and some really interesting research on this, that those companies that are sort of democratically led and allow staff to make decisions and develop within the workplace, within that culture, actually grow 4 times more quickly than those top-down managed businesses. And that's really because staff feel that they have that connection, that meaning and purpose in their work.
I think what you're saying makes perfect sense. I know a lot of employers will say things on their website, especially when it comes to recruitment. They always say 2 things. We're an equal opportunity employer, and second of all, the health and well-being of our staff is the most important thing. Yet when you join their company, it's not quite like that. What companies say and what companies do are very different. Now, focusing on the health and well-being side, a lot of companies want your health and well-being to be important, yet they give you loads of extra work to take home. They'll have 5 back-to-back meetings, which is exhausting. So, what can employees do to support their staff more?
Certainly, that is very important. And to begin with, there's sort of 5 really main areas that an employee can create a really good environment for that thriving culture. And that is, 1, to always listen to staff and to allow open challenge. And especially if there is that workload issue, they need to be able to express their concerns without any kind of derogatory or a backlash for that. They need to feel that the company are interested in their wellness and their work-life balance. They need to be recognized for their achievements and supported to grow and to learn new skills. They need to feel valued, which is really important. And they need to be trained to be resilient in the workplace so they can embrace change, because change is constant, and particularly now, and we're all have just been through this rapid change because of COVID. And those people that don't have that internal toolkit can be supported by their employer to really embrace change. And that resilience gives them the ability to manage stress.
That is brilliant. Keith, can you talk to me a bit more, because you and I have both been working from home during these 12 weeks. Talk to me about what your energy has been like and how your energy affects your sales, please.
Yeah. Blimey, how long have you got? So I have to say, I'm quite a social, but most salespeople tend to be extrovert. We depend on external inputs for our sort of intellectual or emotional stimulation, and I'm no exception to that. And I have, and others like me will have found this particularly difficult, where you almost have to cut yourself off for society. I know things are easing now, but we're going to be in some sort of social distancing, depending on who you read. But Harvard Business Review is as good a benchmark as any, but there will be some sort of social distancing measure coming until 2022. And I found it really, really hard to maintain my energy levels. We have been very fortunate, and today is no exception either, to have some fantastic guests on the show. So I have learned the art of, rather than sitting at my desk and, should we say, well, I don't want to say plodding, there's a better word for it, but sort of getting through my work, looking up, and all of a sudden it's lunchtime. I've done it in spurts. Now, someone came on the show a few episodes ago and talked about Pomodoro. Pomodoro timer, okay, which 25 minutes doesn't work for me. That's too short. Maybe 20 years ago that would have worked for me. Sometimes it takes me 25 minutes to get in the zone. So I need to stay in that zone as long as possible. So I found hour and a half spurts to be really optimal for me in terms, and that means picking up the phone to phone prospects, LinkedIn to again to reach out to people, to connect, to generate further conversation and engagement. But I found the notion of chunking my day up into hour and a half, chunks really works for me in the way that I do work. Conversely, I have a client who up until we had this chat spends most of her day looking at a screen, and that can be I would find that really energy sapping. That works for her, it doesn't work for me. So yeah, over to you.
No, I completely agree. And anybody listening to this, please understand the importance of energy. It's not a new age thing. It's not something people are just talking about at the moment. It's absolutely vital, because when you're out there prospecting, which is the lifeblood of your business, you need energy. When you get rejected, which will happen a lot in your business, especially if you're a business owner or if you work in sales, you need energy to come back. And energy is so important. Your attitude and your energy and your mindset make up such an important part of your character and, of course, your success. So can you talk to me about the first steps to making positive changes, Jille, if people are struggling? Just say someone is struggling with energy. How would you help them?
Well, being aware is the first thing, actually admitting that you are struggling, because of course many people will attempt to anesthetize themselves in some way, and there is quite heavy research around the fact that in the workplace you have people with substance abuse, eating disorders, and in fact the largest reasons for absence in the workplace is stress and anxiety and depression. So the first step is to ensure that you admit to yourself there's something going on there and that you need to take a step back and make some changes. If you continue to do what you've always done, you will always get what you've always had. And of course, that also is very clear with maintaining good mental energy and mental wellness. You have to change. And one little tip is that, especially in sales, negative words, so if somebody rejects you in terms of a sale, actually even a glance or a moment of that rejection lights the brain up like a Christmas tree, because we respond really badly to negative words. And a way that we can automatically and almost immediately make a change to ourselves is to change the self-talk. And so that we start talking to ourselves positively and removing those negative words. Because it's almost like a direct command to the subconscious mind. And the more you do it, the more you become it. And then finally, not everyone knows how to do it for themselves. So it's okay to find or seek out someone that can help them to achieve change. And that could be a counselor, it could be a therapist like myself, or it could just simply be a really good trusted friend, or even just finding a role model that you really, really do admire and copying their behaviors. Because what we're trying to do is interrupt a pattern of behavior that doesn't work.
What you're saying in theory sounds absolutely perfect, and I agree with it all. In practice, how does that work? And I'll tell you why I'm asking that. Keith and I have been looking at the feedback on Thrive in Sales. 99% of our comments in public are from women. And yet privately, most of our comments are from men. And it's quite, which is fascinating, a complete change around. Men do not want to talk about their feelings in public. And these aren't macho men, they're just normal everyday guys. And I've actually said to them, would you mind posting out in public? What you've said is quite fascinating. He goes, well, I'd rather not. So how do you encourage especially men who, for a variety of reasons, do not want to talk about their problems or even admit they're struggling? How do you help them overcome that, or what can we do to help overcome that?
Well, there's two answers to that question. The first is, and I've experienced that myself, I have clients that are male that come to me, they tell me they're coming for one reason, and in fact 3 sessions later it turns out something completely different. But coming back to the culture of the business, it's about removing the stigma of saying I need help, or I need support, or I need to be able to have a safe place to express what's going on with me, and a culture that really encourages that type of openness and support really makes a difference to the employee level of happiness and ability to recover. The other thing to understand is that actually 35% of our happiness is in the workplace, because that's how much of our life we're there. But the rest of our life is about our nurture, our environment outside of work, and our experiences in life, and the blueprint that we've been given since a child, from childhood. Interestingly, 1 in 5 females and 1 in 4 males have been, in the UK, have been sexually abused, for example. 1 in 5 adults in the UK are on some sort of drug prescribed by the doctor for mental ill health.
1 in 5?
Yes, 1 in 5.
Oh, okay.
So you can imagine that there is a lot going on underneath the surface for a lot of people. And so it's about understanding that often it's not our work that's keeping us, from thriving. It's actually the thing that's keeping us alive, keeping us going. And being able to share in a trusted circle of work colleagues, you'll find that nearly everyone has their own challenges and stories. So removing those stigmas is essential.
That's wonderful. Keith, there's anything you'd like to add to that at all, please?
Yeah, thank you. I'll tell you something I've noticed. I run these webinars every week, and I think there's a craving for, and craving is not a word I use lightly, but I have observed that with people wanting, they may have a passing interest in your subject, but actually it's the kind of interaction, or at least seeing other people on the screen. And it's particularly true of, should we say, sole traders, just me's, if you like, that often used to go out to coffee shops pre-lockdown, just to prove to themselves there are other human beings in the world. It wasn't just them and a screen. And I've said that. Now, one of my clients, interestingly, is in HR, and they have adopted a system of what they call a virtual kitchen, which is they're in an organization of just under 1,000 people or so, and they recognize this need for a behavior. And so what they've done is, yes, of course, you can do Teams or you can do Zoom or whatever, but actually it's a virtual meeting room called a virtual kitchen, where you could emulate those conversations that we all used to have around the water cooler or the coffee machine or whatever it happens to be. And we can talk about how are you doing? Just general stuff, the stuff that we don't normally get to talk about. And I thought that was a really light bulb moment for me. So that's why I've wanted to mention it here today.
Vending machine conversations, isn't it? And I mean, for 23 years, I've worked commercially and used my skills in that space, and very much worked with the well-being of staff. And we would do something very similar, where we would have these sort of viral days where we would say, look, go and have your vending machine conversation. There's an open door policy if you want to go and talk about this and that and the other, because actually the surveys we used to run always showed that it was never about money or any of those sorts of material things that enabled staff to feel happy in the workplace. It was always about that internal feeling of value and belonging, and being validated for who they are and what they're doing. And we're in this really sort of bubble world now, that we all live in our little bubbles, and anything could be happening outside. For example, only a couple of days ago, the bomb squad was in my street because they found a World War II bomb in someone's back garden.
Saw someone post on LinkedIn about it. Yeah, Dion.
Oh, did you? Well, I was absolutely oblivious, because I was in my little world, sitting in front of my screen, and my whole road was turned off. There was about 20 police cars and a bomb disposal unit, and I was unaware. So that just goes to show you, doesn't it? If you are too absorbed in just one thing for too long, you become disconnected, and you become detached from what we need as human beings, and that is to be in our tribe, to be in our community, and to belong.
Brilliant. One final question I have there, Jille. Why does work have such a negative or positive impact on a person's well-being?
Well, this is an interesting one. And again, this is often to do with not what's happening, in the workplace. It's really to do with how we got there in the first place. Our parents will often encourage us not to follow our dreams, but to go and find something that's attainable, that's safe, that will pay the bills. And so there's a majority of people, actually, that if they're not in a positive culture of a business, they're what we call sleepworking, because they're not doing something they're passionate about. Now, we don't have to necessarily do something we're passionate about if all the other ingredients are there, the really good culture of the company, really like-minded people, all achieving something and feeling valued, and actually feeling or attaining the benefits of that hard work. Then we feel happy. If that's missing, and I'm sure I can give some examples, and I don't want to cast aspersions, but there are certain companies where it's all about the money, it's not about the staff, and those people are numbers, and that's where you start to get this unease within the workplace, and you'll get high attrition rates. You'll get high absence rates because of illness or stress, and that is really hard to then unravel for people.
Yeah.
So, my advice to anyone listening is find a really good company that really values what you do and really values people.
Okay, go ahead.
I do wonder, that's a great point, Jille. I do wonder that, I'm going to go off on a number now, so it's a number alert, but the UK is 6 out of 7 in the G7 for GDP, and we've been stagnant productivity growth for years, since the crash anyway. And some of there are about 20 different reasons for that, but one of them is the lack of management and leadership capability. I believe, having worked at several large universities and management schools over the last few years, and there seems very little investment in management and leadership compared to our competitive allies, if you like, in the United States, South Korea, all those other countries that appear above us, and in Europe too. And I just want, that is so much more than pounds, shillings and pence in terms of compensation. It's about that culture. It's about, investing in people as opposed to just giving bonuses and commission. And people need to feel valued as part of an overall team. Now, it depends where you are in life, I suppose. There are some points in my life, being the sole breadwinner, where I'm afraid it was all about the money, and I recognised that, and actually that suited me at that time. Where I am now, that wouldn't work for me, and there are other elements of the job, of the work, that I kind of look to for my fulfillment, if you like. So yeah, it is just kind of interesting, but it's not all about, it doesn't need to be all about the money, and everyone's different, but in the main, I do think we're all kind of looking for some sense of belonging. Yeah, Niraj.
No, that's fantastic. Thank you for that. Well, look, one of the most important parts about sales training is not just what people talk about, it's what you take away and take action on. And there's so many wonderful takeaways here from our discussion today. So have connection, have meaning, have purpose in life. Companies that allow staff to develop grow 4 times quicker. For bosses and business owners especially, listen to your staff and allow yourself to be challenged. Allow staff to express their concerns without backlash. I cannot tell you how important that is. So many bosses, when you question them, their fragile egos get affected. Stop getting your ego in the equation and listen to your staff more. Admit you're struggling when you have a problem. And Keith, I'm sure there's loads more you can add to that.
Yeah, I took a whole bunch of notes as well. Thank you for that. But I want to reiterate my my kind of spurts. Working in spurts thing, that works for me. That's a personal thing, but I've got to believe it's going to work for others. But certainly being aware that there's kind of something going on, that you're lacking in energy. That's the first point. Now, I also noted down what Jille was saying about this is about interrupting patterns of behavior, and I guess they're both very closely kind of linked. And also 35% of our happiness is derived from what we do at work. So that's an awful lot, given that 25% of our time is asleep. That's an enormous part of our day, isn't it? So fantastic information there. Thank you.
That was brilliant. And one thing I missed out, which I think is really important, when it comes to your work, it's not about the money, it's not about the material things, it's the internal feeling of value. And a lot of people, especially in sales, young people, will go to jobs that are £2,000 more than their existing job without even thinking about, will I like this? They just see a number, and always think about how a company is going to treat you, because that's so much more important than the actual salary or commission you get. Well, look, now we've come to the end of the show. Jille, what is the best way for our audience to contact you, please?
Well, they can go to my website, which is www.meditateplace.com. And I can be found on all social media under the same name, and people can give me a call if they want to talk more.
Lovely. And Jille Tringham is spelled Jille, and Tringham Tringham. So if you have any questions, any points you want to raise in future shows, or if you want to hire Keith and Niraj for sales training, then please email us at hello@thriveinsales.com. We'd love to hear from you. Also, remember to subscribe so you don't miss an episode.
This episode was brought to you by Monkey Pants Productions, who are a podcast production company helping businesses enter the world of podcasting through bespoke workshops, professional standard recordings. For more information, you can email them at pete@monkeypantsproductions.co.uk.
Now, Keith and I are both massive fans of the TV show Frasier. So until next week, we're both wishing you good sales, mental health. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you, Jille.
Thank you.